Hello class, in this video we're going to talk about ratios and proportions. And when we think about ratios and proportions, we really strictly just kind of need to think of fractions. That's how I always put it in my head. So in example 1, we're going to write a ratio of 5 hours to 3 hours. So a ratio, there's a number of ways you can express a ratio. You can express it as 5:3. You can express it as a fraction. Again, fractions are the thing I always think of. So I'm going to go with a fraction. So 5 hours to 3 hours. All right, go ahead and give this one a shot. 40 to 15. Okay, so for this one, the fraction would be 40 over 15. Now, as a ratio, we're going to go ahead and keep that because it's telling us what we need to understand. It's a 40 sheep to 15 goat ratio. Now, if we did want to simplify it, let's actually go ahead and talk about that really quickly. We would divide, each of these are divisible by 5. So we have 40 divided by 5 is 8, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. What you're doing is you're kind of changing the description. So instead of a 40 sheep to 15 goat ratio, you have an 8 sheep to 3 goat ratio. So typically with ratios, I do not simplify. I keep them as is because they give us all the information that we need for the problem. All right. We have Burger King sold the following items in a 1-hour period last Friday. We're going to write the ratios of these 4 scenarios. So bacon cheeseburgers to fish sandwiches. So we had 70 bacon cheeseburgers. And then we have, how many fish sandwiches? We have 40 fish sandwiches. So 70 to 40 is our ratio. Next one, we're going to work on salad combos to chicken sandwiches. So we have 30 salad combos for every 45 chicken sandwiches. For the next one, we have plain hamburgers to salad combos. So we have 15 plain hamburgers, and as we discussed before, 30 salad combos. So that'd be 15 to 30. And then finally, we have fish sandwiches to total items sold. So let's go ahead and add all these up. We need total items. So we got 70 plus 30 is 100. We add another 45, that's 145. Add another 15. So 145 plus 15 would be 160 plus 40. So that's 200 in total. Okay. So fish sandwiches, we have 40 of them. So our ratio would be 40 to 200. So using the same information, now we're going to look at a ratio of the sum of bacon cheeseburgers and plain burgers to salad combos. So we have 70 and 15. So these we're going to have to add for the numerator of our fraction. That's 85. 2 salad combos, which would be 30. All right. Determine whether the following proportions are true. So this is without context. We're just going to go ahead and see if one leads to the other. Well, I see this fraction can be simplified. So 12 and 20 have a common ratio of 4. I'll go ahead and divide by 4 each. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. So as a matter of fact, they are equal. 2/3 and 9/16. Well, 2/3 can't be simplified, and that's why I started with 12/20. It's over here. 3/5 can't be simplified, but neither can 9/16. Well, if they can't be simplified, that means they can't be equivalent. If they can be simplified, there's at least the chance they are, but these won't be equivalent. So let's go ahead and look at our last problem. 2/9 can't be simplified. 8/18 can. So it looks like 8 and 18 share a common factor of 2. So let's divide by 2. We get 8 divided by 2 is 4 over 9. Now we have a situation where we have the same denominator but different numerators. So these aren't equal either. Now let's talk about finding the values of unknowns. Here we're going to use cross multiplication to determine what the value of each unknown is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross multiply 3 times 40. That's 120. And then 5 times x, that's just 5x. And we'll go ahead and divide by 5. So 120 divided by 5, let's think here. That should be 24. So x is equal to 24. Next one, same thing. When we're dealing with proportions, we're going to cross multiply. So 10 times 5 is 50. And then 3 times k is just 3k. Notice we're multiplying and then we're dividing out. Okay, 50 divided by 3. See, 48 divided by 3 would be 16. And then an additional 2 remainder. So that'd be 16.6 repeating is equal to k. All right, big numbers on this next one. Let's go ahead and multiply. I will use a calculator on this one. 228 times 7 is 1,596. So 1,596. Then we're going to multiply 84 and y, which is just 84y, and then divide by 84. So 1,596 divided by 84 is 19. So y equals 19. So these numbers tell us, okay, what do I need in this fraction for both sides of the proportion to be equal? Now, real quick note on number 1. We might be able to see in sometimes that, hey, if I multiply 5 by 8, I get 40. So if I want these proportions to be equal, I'm going to multiply 3 by the same thing. 3 times 8 gives me 24, which is what I got down here. But as we saw with the second one, that's not always the case. What do I have to multiply 3 by to get 5? Well, since 5 doesn't go into 3 evenly, it's going to be a decimal. So cross multiplying and then dividing is always going to be your foolproof way to do it without error. So in this problem, we have a food wholesaler that charges a restaurant chain $83 for 3 crates of lettuce. How much should it charge for 5 crates of lettuce? So this is a proportions problem. We have $83 for 3 crates. That would be one ratio of our proportion. 83 divided by 3. Now, how much should be charged for 5 crates? So since I put money on top of my fraction, we don't know how much money the other proportion has. That's going to have to be of the variable, and it's going to have to be on top. We want to match money with money, crates with crates. So that means our 5 goes down below. We'll go ahead and cross multiply. 83 times 5, I believe that should be 252. No, 415. I was doing the wrong math problem. And then we got 3x. So we got 3x equals 415. And then we divide by 3. Now, since this is a money problem, if we get a decimal, we're always rounding to 2 decimal places. Always, always, always. So 415 divided by 3 is $138 and 33 cents. Go ahead and label it as well. So the food wholesaler is charging the restaurant $83 for 3 crates, and the restaurant goes, well, we want 5 crates now. They say, okay, that'll be $138.33. A fish wholesaler buys 40 pounds of fresh salmon from a fisherman for $232. Estimate the cost of 300 pounds of salmon. So go ahead, try this one on your own, and then we'll go over the answer. Okay, so let's go over it. Once again, we want to set up a ratio with 40 pounds for $232. So that's 40 over 232. Now, I will say that when you're doing this, it doesn't matter if 40 goes on top or 232 goes on top. But when you're setting up the other side, since we set 40 pounds up on the top of our fraction, I'm going to set 300 pounds on top of the other fraction. The common information has to go across from each other. And since we're looking for how much the cost is, that would go across the cost from the other side. Let's go ahead and cross multiply. So 40 times x equals, and then 232 times 300 is, sorry, I keep using divide. 69,600. I did that in my head, of course. And then we divide by 40. Divide by 40, and we get 1,000. Put the dollar sign first. $1,740. All right, another word problem. A firm in Hong Kong and one in Thailand agree to jointly develop an engine control microchip to be sold to North American auto manufacturers. They split the development costs in a ratio of 8-3, resulting in a cost of $9,400,000 for the Hong Kong firm. Now, I will say that this is a respective ratio. That means Hong Kong was mentioned first. That means they get the 8, Thailand gets the 3. So find the cost of the Thailand firm. So that 8-3, we're going to turn that into a fraction. Now, since Hong Kong is on top, they get the $9,400,000 on top. Oop, that's a 0. There we go. And then we're looking for how much the Thailand firm costs. So cross multiply, we get 8x equals we get 28.2 million. So 28,200,000. And then we're going to divide by 8. Go ahead and do that. Divide by 8. So Thailand will make $3,525,000. Go ahead and put So go ahead and give this word problem a chance, and then we'll go over the answer together. All right, so for this problem, we have 2 real estate developers agree to build a project estimated to cost $17.6 million. They decide to split the cost in a ratio of 7-4. Find the cost to each of them. Okay. Here we go. So 7-4. Now this one's a little tricky because this $17.6 million is that for which real estate developer is that for? Well, it doesn't. That's for both of them combined. So We need the total of the ratio here. 7 plus 4 would be 11. And then what you can do is you can set up one proportion either using the 7 or the 4. So we'll go 7, 11, because that has a nice ring to it, equals the $17.6 million is the total cost. So that'll go across from the 11. And then we'll go from there. So let's cross multiply. So we got 11x equals 7 times 17.6 is 123.2. And we'll divide by 11. 11 points. So x equals 11.2 million. That means the real estate that's putting up the 7, they get $11.2 million. Okay. Now, we could set up another ratio for the 4, but we know there's going to only be so much left over from the 17.6. So instead, let's just go ahead and subtract. That's the easiest way to do this. We end up 4, so 6.4 million for the other real estate agency or developer. James wants to cut down a tree from his front yard, but he is worried about it falling into his garage. He needs to know the height of the tree. One morning, he notices that his own 6-foot body casts an 8-foot shadow. Ooh, that sounds like a ratio. At the same time, the typical tree casts a 34-foot shadow. Find the height of the tree. So we'll use that 6 to 8. Remember, the shadow is on bottom. So when we set up our other ratio, the shadow of the tree, 34 feet, goes on the bottom, and the unknown goes up top. So we get 8x, 6 times 34, 204. We're going to divide by 8. It is, so you divide by 8, and we get 25.5 feet. And then depending on how far the tree was from his garage, he can make a decision from there. All right, go ahead and solve this problem, and then we'll go ahead and go over it together. Late afternoon one day, a 20-foot flagpole casts a 32-foot shadow. Sounds like a ratio. Find the shadow cast by a 4-foot tall boy. So we got 20 to 32. The shadow's on bottom, and that's what we're looking for. So now the variable goes on bottom, and the boy's height goes up top. We got 20x. And then 32 times 4, that should be 128. Divide by 20. Divide by 20. X equals 128 divided by 20 is 6.4. So 6.4 feet shadow, or foot shadow.